Now we have example 2. And as you notice, and as you can see, everything looks about the same, except for that everything just looks like more cleaner because they're actually typed in instead of actually just written by hand or by my finger or whatever. All right, so here we're given the same things, but there's one big difference. And hopefully you can tell looking at it. Your x values actually are not, they're not x's here, they're actually x values. So in other words, we're evaluating these. So we are actually adding them up and then we're evaluating. So what we already done is we've already found the functions or the equations that when they're combined, the functions that are combined, whether it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. We did that in example 1. What we're going to do in example 2 is take what we did in example 1, take that answer, and then put that function in here and then substitute it in. It makes it life a little bit easier. But what you're going to have to do and what you're going to be expected to do is they're not going to give you example 1 and then say, okay, now do example 1 and now let's add a number into it. All they're going to say is do this. You have to understand that means do example 1 and then now let's do example 2 together. So with all of these, that's what is understood, needs to be understood from you, is that you're doing example 1 and example 2 together in that one problem. So to make this easy, that I broke it up. And so now when it comes to these functions here, we're going to start off with our answer from the last function, from the last example. So this again comes, all these answers that we're starting off with come from example 1. And again, this is from example 1. Change the color. This is from example 1a. For example, to use example 2b, All right, so we have the equation there from example 1. That's what we found. That's where our solution was, our answer. All right, so now we need to find out when we substitute 5 into it, evaluate it with 5, what our value is going to be. So really all we're doing is, again, just like we did in the in other problems that we did with piecewise functions, we've done when we did our domain and range, we're talking about evaluating them first. All we're doing is substituting that value in for x, because that's x and x is 5. So substitute in for 5 for x, and then we go ahead and work it out. And so here, when we work it out, I'm going to do it piece by piece, step by step, so we can actually have this. But again, it should be quick and easy. Quick and easy, quick and easy. All right, so we know it's 3 times 25. I want to keep that 4 times 5 first. And again, we're doing it step by step. We just squared it using our rules of exponents, order of operations. Then here we're going to multiply. So it's 75 plus 20 plus 1. And then the last part is just combining everything to get 96. So what we need to make sure that we have for our final answer is just not 96. That part is not important. But it's important, but not that important compared to the whole thing. So again, we need to understand, like, what is 96? This function value evaluated at 5 is 96. So the f function plus the g function evaluated at x equals 5 is 96. So when it comes to a test, when it comes to like a quiz or anything, homework, even homework, make sure you write this out. So that is f plus g of 5 equals 96. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Again, we're pulling it back from example 1. We substitute the values in and then solve it. All right, so here from example 1, we get that b is x. The solution was 3x squared minus 4x minus 9. And again, this is from example 1. but part B. All right, so we got that. That's where that came from. All right, so again, we go ahead and substitute the value in for x. And in this case, it was 2. That's what they had at the top of the page. It's 2. So here, whenever we see an x, we're going to put 2 in that spot. Again, that's what x equals, so therefore you substitute that in for x. All right, so here we have 3 times 4 minus 4 times 2 minus 9. And again, we're just evaluating it, just like we know how to evaluate. All right, we got 12 minus 8 minus 9, which equals -5. And again, at the end, we need to make sure it's f minus g of 2 equals -5. Difference between you getting it right and getting it wrong. All right, so that's B. Going at C again. And again, we're moving fast on this one because all we're doing is pulling in what we did from example 1 to do for example 2 and then evaluating it. That's all. All right, so again, really quick. We got 12x squared minus, plus 15x, that should be cubed, 12x cubed, 15x squared, minus 16x, minus 20. And again, this comes from example 1a, example 1c. Okay, so we pull that from there. And again, this one, the value would be, is -1. So we're doing f times g. I'm going to rewrite it like this. So we get rid of that dot, which means multiplication. And just again, we know when to take the dot off, it still means multiplication. Multiplication symbol, in other words. That's what I'm saying. Again, sorry, it should be -1. All right, so we know -1 cubed, and again, we're starting to evaluate. We know -1 cubed is just -1 back. So -1 times -1 is +1, times the -1 is -1. All right, here we get 15 times -1 squared. -1 times -1 is a +1. And then we keep the -16 times -1 minus 20. And we're going to finish it up. So this is -12 minus 15 plus 16 minus 20. And again here that, it should be plus 15. Sorry, my fault. So -12 plus 15 plus 16 minus 20. All right, so now let's go ahead and combine everything, all the numbers together. We'll get -1. And with this, once you actually get everything into put the numbers in, you can actually put that directly into the calculator and give me the answer of -1. That's fine. As long as you substitute it in, I can see that you're putting the numbers in the right spot. Let the calculator work it out for you. That's perfectly fine. But just make sure, again, you must write it out, the answer, in this form right here. All right, and then the last one is dividing. And so we already have our solution here of 3x squared minus 4 over 4x plus 5. All right, so when we do this part, remember that it is going to be really interesting to understand that the x value that we got was x equals -5 in the first example, or from example 1. We said, okay, that x cannot equal -5/4 because it would put the denominator as 0, or make the denominator equal to 0, which means it's undefined, which means we cannot have it happen. So therefore, that wouldn't work. So with this, only thing that we need to do, we're not going to write that out again next to it. We just have to say, okay, when we start working this out, do we have an x value that they're giving us that is actually negative 5 over 4? If it is, we automatically stop there and say no solution, and then we're done. But in this case, they gave us 10. They didn't give us negative 5 over 4. So that means we can work this out. We can work it out. We can work it out. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. That sounded bad, didn't it? That sounded horrible. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and substitute our 10 in here. And we're going to work it out. Now that's off my square. There we go. So now I've got these numbers in here. So we have 10 squared, which is 100. Trying to figure out if I want to actually write it out or what. And we're going to leave the other ones alone for right now, and then we're going to do it all on the next line. Yeah. No. Right. So we go ahead and now finish it up. We get 300 minus 4 on top. Because 3 times 100 is 300. 4 times 10 is 40. Plus the 5. All right, so then just making it up, make it in here. 300 minus 4 is 296. 40 plus 5 is 45. And if we can simplify that down, we simplify it down. If we cannot, we leave it as a fraction. Do not give me a decimal here. I don't want a decimal. Don't want to see a decimal. I want to see a fraction. So here, so don't give me a decimal here. Do not give me a decimal. F of 10, F divided by G of 10 is 296 over 45. Remember, no decimals. But simplify your fraction. If it's possible. If it's not possible, don't simplify it down. If it is possible, simplify it down. But again, no decimals. All right, so that is our first part. So now you guys have some homework to work on that deal with operations. So have fun.